Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2019 Kia Niro, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver. So this is going to be a good choice for you if you plan on using your hitch for a couple of different reasons. One being if you already have 1¼ accessories, that way you don't have to worry about picking up new ones that'll work with a different size hitch. Or if you plan on just using accessories that are more on the light duty side, and you still want to free up some room inside of your Kia. One thing I really do like about this hitch is how it's going to look. For the most part, it's going to be completely hidden. Really, the only thing you're going to be able to see is the receiver tube opening. And so that's going to be nice because you ain't going to have a big eyesore on the back of your Niro. So this is a Class 2 hitch, so it's going to have that 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening and a reinforced collar for extra strength. And in my opinion, I think that collar makes it look more put together and complete as well. It's going to have a 1/2 inch size pinhole. Now keep in mind, a pin and clip does not come included, but if you need one, you can pick it up here at eTrailer. It's going to have loop style safety chain openings, which aren't huge, but they do give us enough room to use just about any size hook that we might have. As far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to have a 350-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. So that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. So that's good for those 1 to 3 bike racks, for example. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, it's going to be 3,500 pounds. And so that's going to be the amount of weight that's pulling on the hitch. So that's the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have on it. Now, I do always like to recommend it's never a bad idea to check with your Kia's owner's manual to make sure your Niro can pull up much weight. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and you're going to use these to figure out which hitch-mounted accessories are going to work best for you. From the center of the hitch pinhole to the edge of a rear bumper, that's going to be about 6 inches. And you're going to use that to help figure out that if any folding accessories you might have can be stored in the upright position without contacting the bumper. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 12 inches. And you're going to use that measurement to figure out if you need a ball mount with either a drop or rise. So at the end of the day, a good looking hitch, that's going to work great for those of you that already have those 1¼ accessories or only plan on using light duty accessories like bike racks. Now as far as the installation goes, even though the hitch is for the most part completely hidden, it's really not too bad. Straightforward and shouldn't take you a whole lot of time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our install, we're going to be underneath the back of our Niro, and the first thing that we're going to have to do is remove this little metal exhaust guard here on the back of our muffler. It's going to be held in place with 2 bolts on each side, and so I'll use a 12mm socket to pull those out. Once we have it off, we can set it to the side as we will not be reinstalling it. Now we are going to have to lower our exhaust a little bit. That way it'll give us some room to work. What I like to do is take a strap and just run it from side to side. That way we can kind of control how fast our exhaust comes down, and this will give it a little bit of support as well. To get our exhaust down, we're going to have a total of 3 rubber isolator hangers. We're going to have 1 just like this on each side of the muffler, and you can spray them down with some soapy water or some penetrating oil, and that makes it a little bit easier to pry off. So I'll grab a pry bar. You can use a big screwdriver, kind of just work one end of the isolator hanger off, and I kind of just like to push it off to the side out of the way. And the third one is going to be closer towards the front of our car here in the center. So I'll use that same technique to get that one released as well. And we can loosen up our strap and lower our exhaust a little bit. Over here on the driver's side, we are going to have to remove this little underbody panel. To do that, we're going to have 3 plastic push pin fasteners. You can just take a flathead screwdriver, kind of pry underneath the head of the fastener, then you can grab it as a whole and pop it out. Get all 3 of these removed. And if we kind of move up to our frame rail, we're going to have some plastic nuts. We're going to grab a 14mm socket. You can usually turn these by hand and get those off. And just grab the panel and sneak it out and set it off to the side. If we look at the bottom of our frame rail, we're going to have a rubber plug inside of there. We're going to remove that. You can just grab it and pop it out. And what we're going to do is get some of our hardware in place. We're going to take our fish wire and a spacer block. We're going to slide that spacer block onto our fish wire. We're going to take a carriage bolt and thread it onto our fish wire. We can then feed that carriage bolt up into the frame rail, as well as the spacer block. We kind of just work it and get our bolt to drop through. Now I do want to mention from this point on, anything we do to this side, we're also going to do to the other side because they're going to be set up the exact same way. On the side of our frame rail, we're going to have 2 factory weld nuts that we're going to be using as attachment points. Now what I suggest doing is spraying some penetrating oil in those weld nuts and using a toothbrush to clean out the threads. That way if there's any dirt or debris in there, it will be removed and make installing our hardware much easier. Now with an extra set of hands, we can raise our hitch into position. So you want to grab your pull wire and run it through the corresponding hole in the hitch. And we're going to go up and over our muffler. Once we have our hitch pushed flat against the frame, we can carefully remove our pull wire. Then we're going to take a hex nut and get that started. We at least want to get these started hand tight on each side. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on the rest of the hardware. Since our hitch is supporting itself now, we can take our other 2 pieces of hardware and get them started hand tight as well. With all of our hardware in place, we can come back and snug it all down. Now we can come back with a torque wrench and tighten all the hardware down to the amount specified in our instructions. At this point, we can go ahead and re-secure our exhaust. So I kind of just push up on it with my hand, line the hangers up, and slide them back into position. And with the exhaust supporting itself, we can go ahead and remove our strap. Now we can grab our underbody panel and trim it out. There's a diagram and the instructions that tell you where to cut. So I went ahead and just marked that out. It is relatively thin plastic, so I'm just going to use a pair of tin snips. But you could also use a utility knife, a Dremel tool, or just a regular pair of snips would probably work as well. So I tried to test fit our panel, and there still was a little bit of interference. So what I did was just take a couple more inches off right here on this side, and that allows it to fit really nicely. With that being said, we can raise it back into position and reinstall it. Except this time, we're only going to be using the 3 push pin fasteners to keep it secure. Now this isn't something that you have to do, but what I did was just take our bolts and just reinstall them here at the back of our muffler, because in my opinion, it just gives us a more finished look. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver on our 2019 Kia Niro.